Hey there, guys, and a big welcome back to the Blaze TV podcast. It's Ed Kimberley and Stu Coles with you. And our guest on this edition is, again, it's something a little bit different, something a little bit special. A big welcome to the current Asiago coach, Ron Fogarty. Ron was also coach at Adrian College. He was also coach at Princeton College. And as you're probably aware by now, a week into preseason, this crop of Coventry Blaze have a lot of links with those two particular schools. So, Ron, let me just extend a big thank you for giving up a little bit of time on a beautiful Italian evening, and a big welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. No, thanks, Ed and Stu, for having me. And it's always great to talk hockey. And we're starting to get into the fall and hockey season, and the weather here doesn't indicate that at all. It's still pretty warm. There's a little bit of fog on the ice here in Italy, but same passion in Italy or England or the States or Canada. When those players hit the ice, they just want to play for their team and do the best they can every day. So we're looking for a great season here. And most definitely, I'll be tracking Coventry throughout the entire season and cheering you guys on in the British Elite League.
That is very good to hear. Stu, you know what? I think we'll change up the order for this one. I usually go first, but I'm going to let you have the honor if you don't mind, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's nice to know that foggy conditions are not just located in Coventry. Certainly, those of us who were in the rink on Sunday, and if you take a look at the pictures that were shot by Scott Wiggins, the club photographer, it's a little bit misty in the game against Essen on Sunday night. But you don't mind, we'll wind the clock back a little bit, and you would talk about your own career. And you started off coaching at Colgate, and then sort of moved on Clarkson, Bowling Green. You actually played at Colgate as well, didn't you? That was where you did your NCAA time. So was there a strong link to go back there and be the assistant coach there first off?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great relationship with my coach there, and talked to him a lot, and grew as a player under the mentorship of Don Vaughn, and then went to play 1 year of pro hockey. Had an opportunity to go to Trondheim, Norway to play, but stayed in the States and played 1 year. And then I got a call asking if I wanted to be a coach. I've always wanted to be either a coach or a teacher or a phys ed teacher. I love the education part, the development part, the communication part. So the teaching is very similar to coaching. And started coaching the players that I played with, which was very unique. You play with guys, and then I was a captain my senior year, and then you start coaching them. It's a different hat to wear, but I had the respect, and I respected the players a lot. So there's a mutual relationship that was developed even when I played. And then when I became a coach, it was a lot of collaboration. I just wanted to help and be a partner in their development. And a lot of coaches want to get back to their alma mater, but they have to leave for a numerous amount of years to get back. But for me, it was 1 year, so I was very fortunate. And that definitely was a great platform and stepping stone for my career.
Yeah, and in all three of those colleges that we just mentioned, you were assistant coach. And during that time, what did you learn about sort of coaching? So obviously, initially at Colgate, it's your first job. But then, you're going through, seeing a few different programs, a few different ways of playing the game. So what did you learn in those years of being an assistant?
You learn every day. You learn in good times and not so good times. You learn what things work, what don't work, and then you develop your own craft, maybe adding or deleting from those experiences. But the biggest thing I learned is that wherever you are, every player, every person's the same. To recruit hockey players, you have to recruit the great people that are good hockey players, not great hockey players who are just average people. It's a team game. It's not individual. So you want to make sure that locker room is sound. Everyone's on the same page to develop. So that was a part that I realized earlier. When I moved on to be a head coach, I recruited a lot of captains, a lot of players who maybe not were the highest point, but the highest workers that were committed for the team over themselves. So the path of learning, you also have to adjust and adapt too, because the game changes, evolves slightly. So there's a lot of things you take from it, but the biggest part was about the people.
And you've kind of touched upon it, because when you moved to become a head coach at Adrian, from you effectively started that program from scratch. So that means a whole lot of recruitment in a very short space of time. So tell us about that process of getting a college hockey program off the ground.
It was very enjoyable, starting from scratch. The big part is that I utilize relationships. The coaches that I trusted before at Colgate, Bowling Green, and Clarkson, that would help me find players maybe that I didn't see that had a good game, but they knew from the practices and games that they would help me out in different situations. But again, the recruitment part of assembling a new team, want to make sure that we had leaders in the dressing room, that when I left the dressing room as a head coach, I was around them maybe 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time that my message echoed and was predominant in their conversations, and that they were buying in, but they also can control the room. And it wasn't just one voice, it was a collection of voices. They all had unique voices, and and it was a open space for them to talk freely. But it was big to get a good leadership group and just build upon it, and then give them a vision, and show them where they were going to be valued within the team and where I saw their value. And once I started talking to them and develop that relationship, then they knew what was expected from them every day. And the big part that Kevin embodies as well too is just having honest and open conversations, and just tell the truth, be truthful, get to the point, don't sugarcoat it, and that's what people want to hear. I think a lot of time when players grow up getting to the British Elite League or to college hockey, a lot of people are telling them what they just want to hear. They're trying to appease them, and the more they hear what they want to hear, they're not going to develop. So when you tell them what they need to hear, this is what you need to do, then they get better. But you can also have players in the room that do it in a very good way and positive way. Hey, we want you to do this better tomorrow. Hey, you're slacking in the dressing room. You're not picking up the garbage. All those little things mean a lot for a team to be successful. And again, like I mentioned earlier, it's not one person playing the game. It's 20 players on the ice. There's obviously shifts in that, but everyone has to pull together. You can't be, having no phrase in that rope. So leadership was the big part of assembling the team.
One of the things, obviously leadership is hugely important, and for the reasons that you've just outlined. One of the things that you haven't sort of touched upon there is the fact that, you'd come from a D1 college background and you're setting up a Division 3 program in Adrian. People in the UK, we don't have D3, D1 college programs, etc. So could you talk a little bit what's the difference between Division 1 and Division 3 in NCAA?
The difference would be the size of the institution and how much they can provide in expenses and and budgets. The budgets are greatly different. So the University of Michigan, their hockey team versus Adrian College, there's no comparison. The talent level is different, but sometimes when you have a non-qualifier, and a non-qualifier is someone who maybe doesn't have the best grades, they cannot get into the minimum requirements for Division 1, they go to Division 3. So there's some very good Division 3 players, but they just haven't had that, the body of work during their high school years to get them that opportunity to play Division 1. So there's some players at Adrian that I knew were going to slip through the cracks from Division 1 who could have played D1, but they just ended up playing D3 because their schooling wasn't as solid. And it's something that I had the opportunity to work with the GB20 18-16 group in July, of talking about what college hockey is about and what the opportunities are there, and how to reach out to all the college coaches, D1, D3. And I saw one of the chairman of the board, Andrew Buxton, there. He's a tremendous guy. We spoke about the opportunities that NCAA colleges have for the high school students in GB in the UK, and he's on board 100% with that, the initiative. And he's someone that I realize that wants to grow the game in Great Britain, and obviously he's very passionate with the game. He wants to be around it and help develop the youth and get them better, on the world stage. So having people like that can help send players over to the States, and then just knowing that I could play D1 or D3. And basically the only difference is maybe a little bit of skill level, but budgets.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that you said about players going from the UK to go over to college to train, because we're seeing more and more players come to the UK in the Elite League and starting their pro careers coming straight out of NCAA. So it is a real sort of proving ground for players that want to go into the pro level now, isn't it?
Yeah, NCAA hockey is great, and you have Major Junior, which is over in Canada, and some cities in the United States, and they're both promoting development of 16 years old to 24. But the college hockey game gives you more time to develop, and the OHL Major Junior in Canada, it stops at 20 years old, when college hockey can go to 24. That 4 years is a big difference of development for anybody. But the NCAA hockey is growing. There's a lot of talk now that there may be a merger or allowing Major Junior players play college hockey. But I think when you see an NCAA player on a roster for Coventry, you're going to see a well-rounded person, a person who can handle the academics and can handle the game, someone who can handle being in the public, being well-spoken, that wants to be very engaged in the community and does exceptionally on the ice. And that's what you're going to see with all the players that Coach Moore brought in, and the guys from Princeton and Adrian. They have a championship pedigree. They have won, but they realize that the game is more than just on the ice. It's involving the community. It's giving back to those who come support them. It's getting to know the people at the coffee shops or the fish and chips place, and being immersed as well. So the college hockey prepares you for life because it's multifaceted, not just hockey. There's a very big social and life component to those 4 years in college.
And we understand from some chats with Kevin, amongst other people, around that you wanted to try and get Adrian to as close to D1 as you possibly could. How close do you think you got? Like, and what do you think were the sort of the big achievements in getting that program off the ground?
Our talent level and where the program was, it was one of the best in the country, regardless of Division I, Division III, how it was supported, how it was ran, very professional. We beat a Division I team. We beat the under-18 U.S. national program every year, and some Division I teams did not beat them. But to go from Division III to Division I, it's not just the hockey team. You have to move all your entire athletic programs to Division I. So that's a very big commitment, very big budget change. But for our program, didn't matter that we were not a Division I team. We were going to be run in the best way that we could, and representing ourselves to be very similar or exceed that Division I standard.
And the record there was something that was very apparent from early on. You even from the very first season, you lost just a handful of games, over the first few years. How did you embed that winning culture into a program? Because it can be hard to make those habits in particularly in young emerging programs.
Just to repeat what we said before, we had a lot of leaders, players that were selfless and very caring and wanted to do anything that the team could win. And there's a major buy-in from me. I listened more than I spoke, and it was, like I said, it was a collaboration of where they want to go to, but it was defining that vision. This is where we want to get to, but also saying how we can get there. And if there are some speed bumps along the way, how can we get over them? And we obviously, there's a lot of luck as well too. You get some pretty good players, get some goaltending, but it keeps going down. There's a lot of players that I was recruiting, but it came down to finding the best people. And like you said, we went 26-3 our first year. That's the best startup program in any sport in Division I or Division III. We beat, I think there's a volleyball team and a water polo team that had 22 wins their first year, and we had 26. And then our second year, we only lost one game, and then we went on a 66 straight game winning streak in our conference. And then unfortunately, we lost the national championship game in our fourth year. But a lot of those winning ways, we still learned the times we lost, but we still learned when we won. We weren't satisfied. We kept pushing each other, and those captains kept demanding, and the captains were, 25 of them kept demanding a lot from each other, and we kept pushing that standard up and up every game. And it's as you know, and I know, and I've been on teams that haven't won. It's very difficult to win, and you have to do a lot of things right all the time. If you want to be great, you can't be average and just say, now we're going to be good. You have to have that standard all the time and be consistent. And we had that standard.
At some point, you made the decision to move up, I suppose, from D3 to D1 and moving into Princeton. And you got to hand over the reins to Adam Krug, who was your coach. Was your captain while you were coach, who is undeniably. We spoke to Adam a few days ago, who's undeniably a great person. One of those guys that you can see just embodied everything that you've talked about wanting to have in the locker room, to have in the culture of a team. Despite all of that, it must have been pretty difficult of a decision to leave the baby that you created in that program.
Yeah, it wasn't, because I knew it was self-sustaining now. Like, I knew the program was so good that the next person just had to be the right person. And again, it was a captain of the team that took over, that we did really good work of creating a product that a lot of players and people want to be a part of. And so there's a great interest, and it became a desirable spot to play college hockey. And for me, there was another challenge that opened up with Princeton, that only won 4 games. And I believe that I can go and change that program around. So for me, I like challenges, hence I'm here in Italy right now. But when there wouldn't have been anybody else in the world of hockey that was more deserving or I trusted with that program than Coach Krug. Because he was there. He graduated from Adrian. He was a captain. He knew what the culture was like, and I knew he can continue it. And I was the most proud person when they won the national championship in Lake Placid. I was there, I watched the game, and he invited me to celebrate on the ice. He didn't have to, but I appreciated it, and I was one of the happiest people to see them win. Because it came full circle from starting it to see it won. And but no, it wasn't difficult because I knew it was in great hands. And you watch all these romance TV shows. If you love something, sometimes you have to let it go, to show how much you love it. I loved it, and I still followed every day. I have great friends there, and I know the current coach right now who just got hired because Adam left, and he'll do a great job too.
Yeah, and we also know Matt Thompson, who was, I think, is going to be associate head coach. He was here in the Blaze for a year. Matt is, again, just an incredible human being. And I think maybe just selfishly, we wish that injuries hadn't hammered that season. We had him here because he was a heck of a hockey player too. The other thing, out of curiosity, because I think, we've asked Mike Kennedy, Nick Seitz, Jackson Cressy, we've asked all these guys, on the podcast about committing to Princeton. I know it's a slightly different process for you as coach, but why Princeton? Was the prestige of the school part of the decision? How did that factor in?
And absolutely. It's one of the best schools in the world. You get a Princeton degree, that diploma stands for something. It's you could probably make a case it's arguably the top 5 in the world. So it's a very difficult degree to earn. Most of the time you're spent studying. You become a professional napper, the players do. It's very difficult, and the expectations, the standards are extremely high. But when you walk out through the gates and with that diploma, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you, and the opportunity to play hockey while achieving that degree at the Division I level is something special. And those 3 players are great men, great people, and great hockey players. You guys are very fortunate to have the opportunity to watch them over the course of the year and be fans for them.
We're absolutely going to get you to drill into those guys in just a little moment as well. I think with all of these conversations that we have, context is quite important, and I know that part of the reason that we're on here is naturally to talk about those 3 guys. But I think as well it's just good to have hockey conversations, and I think it's probably a good thing while you're here to celebrate that achievement as well. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but there aren't a lot of coaches that go from coaching D3 hockey to D1 hockey, certainly not at the time that you made the leap. So that must be also something you're really proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just when there's an opportunity that's presented to you and you go after it, you just have to use those experiences and reference points to make the best of it. And again, once I recruited, the opportunity to recruit Sightsee and Jackson and Mike Kennedy, those three people are leaders, and that was the same textbook as we did at Adrian. Find the captains, find the good people. Maybe they might be missing a skill here or there that didn't get them to Michigan or North Dakota or Boston College. But when it came to putting 5 guys on the ice, those 5 guys on the ice were going to be a little bit better than those maybe a little bit skilled players. But yeah, to have the opportunity to go back to Division One, I had a couple other chances to go to different schools. But to go to an Ivy League school and be around those very brilliant student athletes was something that I wanted to experience.
It seems quite clear that, you were trying to take a lot of that ethos, a lot of that, link between the dressing room and on the ice from Adrian into Princeton. Just by being in Princeton and being in D1, did it allow you in any way to, just with the resources that you had at your disposal, etc., expand on what you were doing in Adrian?
Well, the resources were, at Adrian, if you need sticks, you get sticks, and you get all the equipment. Same at Princeton. The resources that we utilized were more like just the team building aspects, and just getting to know the players and talking to them and being around them outside of the rink, going to grab a coffee. Like we had practices at Adrian the last 2 years at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because the players wanted to. I'm not a morning person, but they want to get early because the schooling is very difficult. They didn't want to practice at 4:30 or 7. But I would get up and then grab a coffee with Mike Kennedy at 6:45. There's a coffee shop beside. So I think the resources were the conversations. It wasn't a monetary resource that I brought over or had more of. The continuum was just getting to know the players, getting to know about their families, and genuinely caring about them. When you bring someone into an environment at the age of 18 or 19 away from home, mom and dad, brothers and sisters, the player, aunts, uncles, agents, advisors, skill coach, strength coach are trusting the coach to take care of the player, person, son, brother, and that's my job. And in tough times, I want to make sure I was there. And I hope that I did my job of being someone that they can lean on in tough times and celebrate the good ones with. So it wouldn't matter if I had the opportunity to coach in the National Hockey League or a U12 single A team. The more you show that a player has value and they're valued by you as a coach, they're going to play harder. And so that's something I stand by, and that's what I'm doing here at in Italy, of getting to know the players and making sure that I know about their wives, their children, their dogs. If they have tough times, they're already coming up to me. And we just beat our arch rivals, which we haven't done in 8 games, in Bolzano a couple days ago, with only 9 forwards and 5 defensemen. They had a full team.
Wow.
So it's something that the town's already patting me on the back for. I'm not sure what they're saying to me, but they're patting me on the back. So I guess it's pretty good. So, but I know I have to continue that, but it's the same thing from, like I said, 12-year-olds to 35-year-olds, just the conversation. What do I need to do? Thank you for showing interest in me and genuinely care, and let's go play some hockey.
You said in there amongst it, celebrating the good times. I think we should probably talk about the ECAC Championship in 2018, because that's a really tough division in NCAA D1 hockey. There are a lot of big sharks swimming around in that conference. Tell us about that run. Tell us about that team, and that must have been something that's right up there near the top of your proudest achievements as a coach.
Yeah, 100%. We finished in 7th spot, but we were playing well. We had some injuries, but then we hit the playoffs, and I knew we were really peaking at the right time. And we played our first round. We won 2 straight games, and then we went to the number 2 seed at Uni College, swept them in 2 straight games. Then we had to play Cornell at Lake Placid, where the Miracle on Ice. Down 1-0 after 1 period, and then we won. Moving on to Clarkson, winning 1-0 with 6.5 seconds to go. They score an empty net goal, and then we end up winning in overtime. It was great to where we started with only 5 wins 4 years ago, and then building a team, but being consistent in our ways of not deviating, of trying to win quickly, but building with right people. I think if we try to build up right away of just going away from like the ethos of going with good people and captains, trying to win now with skill, we would never have won. So I knew it was going to be a process. The players believe in the process. They knew it was going to take some time. And it's weird. It's kind of weird how that year the alumni is saying to me, you have to win because we won in 98, 08, and now you better win in 18. I'm like, okay, good. So it was a very proud moment for sure.
Pressure's on for whoever's there in 3 seasons' time. But one of the big pieces of that puzzle for you was Jackson Cressy. And that brings us into to the Blaze team this year, I suppose. Tell us a little bit about firstly recruiting Jackson. And then I mean that year was phenomenal for him. I think he was over a point a game. You know, he was one of your best players. So tell us a little bit about the process of getting Jackson to Princeton and just how good he was for you.
Yeah, with the recruiting, a lot of times assistant coaches do the job of reaching out, but I saw him on tape and saw him live. Very skilled hockey player, wanted the puck when he didn't have it, wanted to make great plays when he did. Very good playmaker. And we put him in a top scoring spot right away and on the power play. And he turned into a great hockey player. And he just has tremendous hockey sense. He knows where the puck is going and beat people to it. And he can also score, but he was a very big catalyst for that team, and a great hockey player. And I'm glad you guys are going to have an opportunity to see him play.
And I know you know quite a bit about the Elite League. You presumably are tipping him for success over here. Presumably his game is going to translate very, very well.
Yeah, again, he sees the ice so well, and he's a playmaker, and he's, for some people may look at him like, geez, he's not the fastest player, but he's quick. Like he knows how to get the pucks quick. He knows how to jump in the soft spots. He's just a very high IQ player. Like for the points he put up at Princeton is truly remarkable. And a lot of people were not recruiting because they didn't believe in him. We believed in him, but also found a role for him to succeed because we needed that type of centerman. But he'll put up a lot of points, I believe for sure.
Stu, I realize I've talked for quite a while. I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, there's a couple of other players there, and one person who's come up already is Mike Kennedy. And we've spoken to Mike, and we've had the joy of speaking to him in person now as well here in Coventry. And that Mike is one of the nicest human beings I think I've come across in 20 odd years of being involved in hockey now here in Coventry. And he has already in his first conversation, he's managed to convince my eldest son that he'll be getting a Kennedy jersey later on in the season when it's his chance. What was your first conversation with Mike like?
I saw Mike in a tournament about 20 minutes outside of Princeton, and he was playing against a Buffalo team, Nichols College. I was there watching the defenseman for the other team, and I noticed Mike's play. A hard skater, worked hard, physical, but had skill. And then I spoke to the entire tournament that night. I was kind of the MC speaker about college hockey and people. Then he contacted me after and said, hey, I enjoyed that conversation. But during that game, as I mentioned before, a lot of times the assistant coaches will go and see the players live. I'll watch them on tape. I had a chance to watch him live and invite him right to our campus. I'm like, I love this kid, how he plays. But when I got to know him as a person, fell in love with him. As you said, Stu, like this Mike Kennedy is one of the best people that you'll ever meet in your life. The most sincere person. He takes time from his activities to be engaged in a conversation. He'll get to know who you are. He'll remember who you are. It's always a smile. So I got to see a glimpse of that during the recruiting process. And then he came to us and He would do anything and everything for his teammates, anything and everything for the team to win, and a very coachable person. And probably, I've been coaching 29 years in college hockey. He'd be in the top 10 favorite player of all time. And is he the most skilled top 10? Not a chance. No, he's probably mid-pack, maybe below mid-pack. But for what he is as a person, hockey player, top 10 easily. And he's a player that the fans will see. He's a hard nose. He's going to do everything 100%. There's no other way. It's 100%, and that's it. There's no and. It's 100% for Mike Kennedy. And then his kindness is infectious. He's got a glowing smile. He's radiant, and he's got that magnetism that you just want to be around him. Right? Like he's someone that you just want to sit and just he brightens up your day. And he was a leader in our dressing room. And he's someone has a good year. I'll be trying to sneak him away from Coventry and get him here to Italy for sure.
Well, maybe we might not talk about him so much then over the next. but perhaps we can talk a little bit about his game as well. So what is Mike the player like? We talked about Mike the person, but what is the skill set that we'll see here in Coventry this year?
Probably the hardest skater you'll see. You'll probably hear him skate from the stands. He did nice. He's gonna make passes. He's gonna box out in front of the net. He's gonna protect everybody on the ice. And he's gonna block shots. It's everything that you wish a player would do. He's gonna do it. You know, is he gonna score 10 goals? I don't know. Is he gonna get 10 assists? I don't know. But if you are a blue-collared fan, this is your guy. That's the guy you're going to love 100%.
And Coventry is has a rich history of really supporting those kind of players. There are far too many to mention going up and down the years, but those types of players have proved to be very popular here because of the makeup of the city and how the sort of like the city believes in what it stands for. So I do believe he will be, you know, a big favourite here. Moving on to the last of the three is Nick Seitz. So, what could you tell us about Nick?
Nick is more of a quieter person, still a great one-on-one conversation guy. He's really developed. He came to us his first year. Then we had COVID. He took a year off, played junior hockey a little bit, and then came back to us. So I had him for an extended time. He's a quiet leader, highly skilled, probably be one of the fastest players in the league. If you blink, he's going to be gone. He can absolutely skate. He can score. And he's just starting to develop where his game is taking off in the skill aspect of it. Like Jackson has the skill. He's a complete player, where Nick Seitz is still developing, but extremely fast. He can one-on-ones, no one's going to stop him. So once he gets his confidence, he'll start bagging a lot of goals pretty quick. But he's fun to watch because once he's got the puck, you know it's going to be in the offense zone pretty quick.
Yeah, and we had a taste of Nick at the weekend with the first kind of preseason game. Speed is definitely what was noticeable from his game, that's for sure. And I think in certainly a lot of rinks around the country, he's going to cause some defensemen some real problems with the pace that he was bringing there. It's really interesting that you mentioned a point about development, because that was something that he picked up on when we spoke to him, that he said that, you know, being at Princeton was huge for his development. What did you work on specifically with him, or was it just general all round?
I can't give you that information, then I won't be a coach much longer if you have that information podcasting it out there to the world. No, we just do different things that are unique to the program that have proven to be successful. And the biggest part of development is the player. You know, no coach, no jersey can get a player to a pro level. It's up to the player if he wants to do it. He's got to be committed. He has to do the run work. You know, you can give a plan to them, but he has to execute the plan. And Nick does that. He wants to be a pro player. He's a very brilliant. He is a 4-time ECAC student athlete, 2-time finalist for the award. And I thought he was deserving of winning that award both times because it's a very difficult school, Princeton, as we discussed. But he wants to be a pro. He dove into that development model, and you guys are going to see probably the 80 to 90% of Nick's sites where he's got about 10-15 more percent to develop.
That's fine. He can do the next 10-15% in year 2 with the Coventry Blaze if he's successful. That's absolutely the case. And the one person that we've mentioned a couple of times, but it'd be silly if we didn't give him airtime as well, is Kevin Moore, who you hired twice. Tell us what it's like working with Kevin, because I mean he's been here a few weeks, and similar to what you were saying about Mike Kennedy, it's infectious working with Kevin.
Very hard worker, very detailed, growth-minded person, wants to get better, realizes that he has to continue to learn to get better as a coach, that his ways, once he becomes complacent, that he's going to get past. He's very excited for this opportunity. He has experience in the league. He's had some good times, and obviously he witnessed one of the worst times ever for a sporting incident last year. And he became almost a spokesman. I saw his eulogy outside of the arena to the fans. He's someone who understands people, is a caring person, and that's why the player is going to play hard for him. So when you have a leader who always pushes, it doesn't have to pull people, but pushes people by caring for them, being around them, and showing that he's going to work as hard as they want him to work. You have that guy, and he's going to do a great job there. And speaking again to Andy about him, I talked about Kevin's and my path of coaching and our experiences together. He was a big part of that championship season in 2018. We had a freshman goaltender who had no experience in college hockey, and he did a lot of work with him mentally, off the ice, on the ice, working with them in video. If it wasn't Kevin, we wouldn't have won that championship, because he did just a great job with it. And then when he came back his second time around, started to really let me know the importance of the mental side of the game and the development part. And so as much as he's there and you're calling me to talk about him, and I should tell you, he's helped me out more than I've helped him, for sure.
That's really interesting, because I mean he spoke so highly of you, and he even talked about, I think his office was a little cupboard in the corner of your office at Princeton. He told us all about that. And I guess he was a bit of a sponge, wasn't he, in his first stint, and then to see his progression when he came back from coaching and Scholastica and Adrian, that must have been amazing to just see that growth in a relatively short space of time.
Yeah, he's a student of the game, and he wants to learn. Like I say, wants to work hard, and as I said, like he's not complacent. He wants to keep getting better and better, and be on the cutting edge. And he reads a lot and listens a lot, and talks the right way and speaks the right way to the players, and listens and evaluates. And he's an educated person that's going to get the job done. But yeah, as much as he's a sponge, when I was the head coach at Princeton, when he was there as assistant, I'm a sponge too. When we talk over the summer times, we had a couple of conversations about coaching overseas, and I listened, and we talked about philosophies, and so it's a great mutual relationship we have. And if we talk all the time, like our paths continually merge and align, and we'll be together again here in a short time. Maybe I'll be in Coventry in a couple of years as I don't know, as the bus driver or water bottle guy. So
listen, the door's always open for you to come join us in the Sky Dome. And just wrapping up, because I realize it's very late over in Italy right now. And again, we just really appreciate this. But I think I just wanted to ask, you've had such a huge part of your career in the NCAA. Why was it that you decided to, get on a plane for 12 hours and go and coach in Italy?
There's numerous jobs that opened up at the pro level, and just to my three children have graduated from school. I thought it'd be a great experience for myself to go overseas along with my wife, and she's joining me over here. But to coach at the pro level is different for me. So it's my new challenge, going from assistant coach to head coach at Adrian, head coach at Princeton, now a head coach with pros. I've already had a couple of slip ups, and just being candid, the guys, hey, I apologize. That goal was on me. We should have done that face off. I'm still learning. I'm trying to be the sponge from them now. But it's different. I've thoroughly enjoyed my first 17 days here. It feels like a vacation, like I'm doing a hockey camp or something. But you get to coach hockey. To coach the pro level, a lot of guys that I worked with NCAA who've gone NHL, East Coast, overseas, they always told me, make sure you have an opportunity to coach pro before you retire. And so I listened to that, and very fortunate. I got a spot in a great city in Asiago in the Dolomites with a team that's looking to get better. And I just felt it was the right time. And it's been, like I said, fantastic so far.
Well, like you'll be following the Blaze, I think it's safe to say we'll all be following Asiago now. Coach, I really appreciate you giving up your evening here to talk hockey with us and talk about the new crop of Blaze players. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Thanks, Stu. And I wish the Blaze all the best. And I know that you guys will be very proud to follow the team, and I'll be tracking you guys as well. Maybe an exhibition game down the road.
Oh, I'm sure Andy will snap your hand off for that one. So we'll leave on a high. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Blaze TV again. If I don't see you on the show in the next episode or two, I'll probably see you at the rink. Bye for now.